Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at probably the fastest car that's ever graced Driveway Developments, the YouTube channel, and that is my little Fiat Punto. And I call it a Fiat Punto because it's a little bit poo, but actually it's surprisingly fun to drive. Now, I actually have been dailying this car for over a year. It got me out of a pinch when I bought Stevo, and basically this was the cheapest car on Gumtree. I got it for £300, and that was about a year and a half ago. I got it through an MOT. I've done a couple of little jobs to it, and I've actually grown quite fond of the little Punto over time. And you know, I got some fun little memories with it. It is actually a little bit of a performance orientated vehicle. Now, what do I mean by performance orientated? Well, let's turn the camera around and have a look. So here we have my Fiat Punto. Now then, a couple of things I've done to it since I've had it. Just basically kept the oil topped up, new tyres, and to get it through an MOT I had to replace front brake lines, bled all the brakes, and rear shoes. That's all it needed, and it got through without a problem. Now then, I said it's a little bit performance orientated. Well, yeah, a little bit. Now, this isn't just any Fiat Punto 1.2 litre. This is an active sport. Ooh, active sport. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's not that sporty, because if you come around the other side, well, the badges didn't survive that side, and I think that's mainly because it's probably had a crash and someone's forgot to put the badge back on, and it's some point in its past. But yeah, it's an active sport. So what does active sport mean? Well, the standard 1.2 Fiat Punto has about 50 brake horsepower and a 1.2 litre 8-valve engine. So it makes about 50 to 55 brake horsepower. Now, this one has actually been souped up. Now, believe it or not, Fiat decided to soup up that engine. This has got a dual overhead cam, 16-valve cylinder head. They've raised the compression, and they actually put a shorter ratio, still not that short, but it's a shorter ratio gearbox. And that basically increased brake horsepower to 80 brake horsepower, which is not a bad improvement. Now, that little short ratio box, it ain't that short really, but it does make a very, very lethargic car, a little bit nippier. And just some of the aesthetic differences, you'll notice some absolutely beautiful 15-inch alloys, and as you can see, they've stood up to the test of time extremely well, and they're looking very lustrous and desirable. Now, when we come around the rear, you'll actually see it's got a little bit of a factory body kit on it. Now, this bumper was unique to anything with a sport in the name. They did a HGT, which was a faster one with a bigger engine, and then they've done this one. So this has got the sporty bumper on it. It's got a little spoiler on the rear, and then down here we see a 16-valve badge. Now, people know, do not mess around with this. This is a 16-valve. Funnily enough, the only people that seem to see that 16-valve badge are Fiesta ST owners, because when I'm gapping them, that's all they can see. Front bumper, we can see here, it's got sort of a little bit of a lip into the bumper. So you can see they've made a little bit of effort. Now you've got to think, what was the target market for a car like this? I was absolutely unaware when I bought it was anything other than a normal Fiat Punto, and it is a normal car, but we can see sort of what Fiat were actually aiming for. If you think of a learner driver, they can only have a 1.2, maybe they can only have a Fiat Punto, maybe it's your first car. Well, if you could pay a little bit extra to get a 55 horsepower engine tuned up to 80, a little body kit, but the insurance category was the same as the slower one, it looked a little bit better than the slower one, and it had a little bit of a shorter ratio gearbox than the normal one. Well, that's really the target audience for this car, and it's actually quite a fun little car. James May said on Top Gear, didn't he? You have fun when you're using all the power and all the grip, And that is very true. This car, you're pretty much using all the power and all the grip at all times. Now, fuel economy, just running around work, and I don't drive very slow. I'm not a hooligan, but you know, I'm not going around on an economy run everywhere. I get about 45 mpg, and the car's not missed a beat in about 10,000 mile. Looking inside, it's nothing special. We've got 3 pedals and a gear stick, which probably adds to the fun a bit. Bearing in mind Steve-O's a dual clutch. I do miss a manual. Yeah, nothing really special. Blow Punk, apparently that's a good brand, but this radio's never worked since the day I got the car. And yeah, that's it really. It's a bit, I've used it as a works car and just done the bare minimum. Now, let's take you for a little spin. So, here we are in the Punto, the beast. Now, you might notice my wife here, Abby. She's asked me to crop her out for the rest of the video, so you probably won't see her again, but say hello while she's here. Now then, 1.2 litres of fury. I'm not going to go and roll the thing, but it is a fun little car. Like, I'm not going to make out it's a fast car, but it's fun. Revs to about 5,000. You can take it up to 5.5, 6, and it will get there, but it makes some horrible noises. I'm not sure if the alternator belt bearings are starting to whine or what, but it likes to be shifted at 5,000 RPM. While you can take it up to 6.5, there's nothing up there. There's no power there. There's no point doing it. Brakes. Obviously, I don't want to go sticking Abby through the windscreen, but they're pretty good actually. And once I bled the brakes, they become quite confidence inspiring, bearing in mind the type of car it is. Obviously they're not like the Evo brakes, but they're pretty responsive, and being such a light car, it does actually slow the car down pretty quickly. Now, handling balance, does it understeer, does it oversteer, or is it pretty balanced? Well, if it's going to do anything in a corner, under or oversteer, the most likely thing it's probably going to do is roll over, to be honest. It's pretty neutral in the corners, but the body roll, you know, you think you're in like a blinking jet fighter or something. I'm sure I've had the wing mirrors scratching the floor. We're going to do a pretty nippy lateral G-corner up a bypass. We're going up a really steep hill. We're struggling to hit 60 mile an hour, the speed limit's 70. And usually in my Evo I could do 70 around this corner without even any stress, but this is quite hard work to maintain 45. But the car is not a fast car. It doesn't stop amazingly well, although they're pretty confidence inspiring. You know, it's not going to go beating an Evo or a Golf R anytime soon, but what it is, for £300 is a lot of fun, and that's really all you can ask for. Now, I'm going to go down to a roundabout, I'm going to do a full throttle exit out of the roundabout, and you're going to see the full mighty power of the full 80 brake horsepower. Now, before we get to the roundabout, I'd just like to talk about reliability a bit. I've had no problems at all. The car's been 100% reliable. We've had a Fiat 500, which we paid about £4,000 for. We've got the Evo, which was 10, 12, 13,000 pound car, and at one point both of those cars broke down, and the only car going was this £300 Fiat Punto. So it allowed us for about a week or two until I could sort out some plans, get the Evo you know, working as an emergency daily for a week or so. This was the only car that was actually running. Yeah, Abby's Mini, she now has a Mini Countryman to replace that Fiat 500. And the Mini actually broke down. The Evo was stuck at the back of the garage behind the Celica. And what car was there to save the day? This little Fiat Punto. Now then, we're on a bypass, we're going to do a 0 to 60 run. I don't know how long it's going to take. 2 people in the car and a quarter tank of fuel. didn't like that shift. 55, 60. I don't know how long that took. I'll let you know when I get back. I usually like to do hour whips on cars that are performance based. I know it's not the most performance. I know it's not a car that's got a massive amount of performance, but I thought the little quirks, the little upgrades, the Fiat, I've put at least a little bit of effort into the car. I thought it was worth sharing, and for £300 it is a lot of fun. If you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.